You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Eternal Tournament Series, Season 1, Week 5. We are bringing you the semifinals here. This is Gabe, also known as Calimdir, and I am joined in the booth by Sir Rhino.
Hello, we've got 2 rounds left to decide who the champ is this week, and we've got a really fun match here. We've got Suno on Dark Combray, and on the other end, Lord Foss, who we haven't seen yet today, on Rakano aggro mid-range. This isn't your typical Rakano. It's been going through some changes, and this one's throwing out the Oni Ronin and starting its curve at 2 and going up to a whole lot of action at the 5-drop spot. What do you think of this?
Yeah, we talked about it for just a moment off screen, and yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think it's a pretty good call in this metagame. It's more similar to Argenport and Huru type lists. It's more mid-rangey and it's more evasive, which I think is the key thing. The metagame has shifted to a lot of these just must answer threats and protects and sabotage and things like that. So I think especially Soulfire Drake in a meta like that sounds really appealing to me.
Yeah, I think this reflects what we've been seeing in some of these other aggressively tilted mid-range decks, where it's not always about necessarily the speed. Like, you don't have to go 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop. It's about the quality and immediate impact of those threats. And that's sort of the bend that Unseen Commando and Whirling Duo, their kind of influence on what's going on with these mid-range lists, where you can't just simply get there by turn 1 Oni Ronin and riding the wave, because your opponent can push back now, and instead you have to go hit for hit with them. And I really like this approach to Rakano. I know you mentioned looking at it, it's almost like looking at a different version of Argenport, where it's the curve is very similar. You've got your torches and protects instead of whatever removal Argenport likes to run, and it's just so slightly aggressively tilted in terms of just pounding your opponent's face with big efficient threats.
Yeah, and I kind of like Soulfire Drake on the top end a lot more than Cavrod, and then Obliterate really gives you a lot of reach here.
This has been a great metagame for Soulfire Drake, arguably one of the best cards you could be playing the past few weeks, because you haven't been seeing a lot of, say, Desert Marshal and Sandstorm Titan. But wait, on the other end of the board, we've got Suno on Dark Combray. Now, that doesn't mean Lord Foz is going to be an underdog here. He just took out Tony G, who was on pure Combray, 3-2. So this Rakano deck's got game against these Combray-based decks. What do you expect out of this match?
So this matchup is a little tough for me to call because we just have so little experience with it. The two decks that I can think of to compare this to are old school Rakano type decks and Argenport decks. Traditionally, Rakano decks were weak against Rakano or against Combray because weapons didn't really get them too far. Their flyers weren't super helpful against Sandstorm Titan and things like that. And silence was just super powerful. And you know, when you're trying to have the biggest thing on the board, Combray was very good at having the biggest thing on the board, so you just couldn't really get through. And that's why we saw Combray evolve into a more evasive deck. But here, but Argenport typically is fairly good against Combray because of how evasive it is and because it kind of takes things a bit slower until it gets to that inevitable point where you just can't stop it anymore. And now that there's no harsh rules in this Combray deck, you know, I kind of am favoring the Rakano deck here. I think that at that mid-range point, there might be just a little bit too much of a dip in the Combray's power curve to really survive, because he does need to get to that 8 power and start playing those parliaments to really keep himself alive. However, the Shadow might help a lot because Vera's Choice could be key in this matchup. When if Rakano starts slowing down a little bit, Vera's Choice is going to do a lot of work.
Yeah, I like the Rakano deck in this matchup as well. Normally, 4 Protect isn't that good against Combray, but once it shifts to Dark Combray and plays more removal like Slay, that card can have a lot higher of an impact. I know you're trying to find a comp for this Rakano deck. I think something it really reminds me of is like the really old school Stone Scar burn lists that were like Flame Blast, Obliterate, and Soulfire Drake, and they impending doom at the 4 spot. Like they were kind of mid-range, but also just had this crazy inevitable, like if you're not pressuring them, they're going to just throw burn at your face. And this deck really reminds me of that. And I now it doesn't have rapid shot, which was really Combray's
Yeah.
big weakness, but I think this matchup could play out similar to that.
Yeah, and that for those who don't know, that was a matchup that definitely went in Stone Scar's favor.
Yeah. I don't think it's quite that tilted, but I could see these playing out similarly as the players get the go ahead here. Suno mulligans that hand away because it only had 1 power and it was a Shadow Sigil. This hand's a bit more healthy, although quite a bit slower.
Yeah, so Lord Fa is going to be able to get down a nice turn 2 Tinker Overseer, get the beats going, and then follow that up on turn 4 with Fire Maw.
Yeah, if the hands don't change much here, this could end up being a quick match. We'll see if Suno can find some early plays, but in the meantime, Tinker Overseer comes out, and Lord Foss doesn't have a turn 3 play right now, but has the influence to play and power to play everything else in hand.
Yeah, which is really good in a deck that requires double Justice and triple Fire.
Yeah, and Suno opting to not use that Seek power yet because he still needs double Justice and a Shadow Source. So waiting to get a little more information. Now with the Seed of Progress, I expect this Seek power to find a Shadow Sigil.
Yep. That'll give him basically everything he needs.
Mm-hmm. Not gonna save his life though. That's the one concern here, as these flyers are wrecking havoc, and Suno doesn't have a Sandstorm Titan to ground them yet.
Yeah, that second Tinker Overseer is actually going to be a big player in this game because previously Suno was facing down just 2 damage a turn. This Vanquish was always going to hit this Fire Maw. But now that it's 4 damage a turn, that's quite a big difference.
And Suno scouts with a crest there and sees Desert Marshal on top. Opts to keep that as it can be a valuable tool because he'll be able to play Marshal Ironthorn, double that power, and have Desert Marshal up next.
Yeah, gaining 8 life off this Ironthorn and Amber Waystone is going to be a big deal here because that's going to make sure Suno
4
doesn't
life.
just immediately die here.
It'll be 4 life off this
four,
Waystone.
four.
But he'll draw another one soon, and you'll be correct. But yeah, this is the way that Suno can get back into this. Hold up Desert Marshal here. Eat one of these Drakes. The problem is Lord Foz has even more threats coming with a second Drake or a Deep Forge Blade or whatever he wants to do, really.
Yeah, this I'd be very surprised to not see Desert Marshal come down here.
Oh yeah, Desert Marshal's definitely going to show up. Just a question of, is Foz going to put a plate on something or play another Drake? I just like going white here personally.
Yeah, I like the Drake, definitely.
You're not against a deck with Harsh Rule.
Yeah, not only that, but even if he has a Desert Marshal, like I don't know. It just trades with an Iron Thorn, even if it gets grounded. It's a ton of damage. Yeah, it's much safer than the plate.
Yeah, so now Suno will, depending on what they top deck, might just have to go digging with Ascendant and hope for a miracle. Varus, a cheap spell. Yeah, we'll see Ascendant, and at the very least, you can choice plus Protect here and maybe stay alive, of course.
Ooh.
Okay, that's a bit better than using Varus choice, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, he's still going to 1, though.
Yeah, and if you Varus choice here, you're dead to plate. Of course, you're also kind of dead to Obliterate and some other things. Protect has to do a lot of work, and it might not be able to do all of it.
I mean, isn't Stoner just dead if Lord Foz plates Overseer?
Yes.
So
because
he's just dead.
Desert. Okay. Yes, assuming Lord Foz plates up the Overseer and not plates up,
Drake for some reason.
But Suno's debating on whether there's merit to playing Varus choice here to return the Drake to hand. I don't love that because it's a way to like you can wait on it, and if you ground the Drake, you just eat it with Mystic Ascendant, which currently isn't blocking anything.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think any of this matters, assuming Lord Foz puts the plate on the Tinker Overseer, but it's reasonable for Suno to kind of think through all the.
Yeah, Suno really needed one more power to make this turn work.
Yeah, or just something to do on turns 3 or 4 instead of taking a ton of damage from Tinker Overseer.
Yep. Really in the tank on this one though. And this is an important turn. There's a lot to think about. I mean, we know that it's plate, but there's so many cards that could be in Fozz's hand. And playing the wrong card here could just mean death.
All right, goes with the proactive Varus choice instead. Not exactly sure what that's playing around, but it allows him to, I guess, apply. Well, you still can't swing with both. You face, and then if you, yeah. Anyways, D-Force Plate
Anyways,
goes
he's
on.
dead.
A space happens.
Yep. Here
There's a
comes protect.
And into game 2 we will go. Again, this is a best of 5, no sideboarding yet, but so far our prediction of this Rakano deck, it's fast and furious.
Yeah, I'm actually really liking this Rakano deck. I have had a lot of success on ladder with in response to the Ikaria meta. I've really liked Soulfire Drake in response to harsh rules and things like that. I really like Soulfire Drake. And my answer was to play 4 Soulfire Drakes and 4 Umbran Reapers, but which has been good.
Base.
It has been good, but against aggro is definitely less powerful than just playing, getting to play Unseen Commando and Whirling Dough, which this deck gets to do.
Yeah, an Unseen Commando in a deck with Soulfire Drake is incredibly powerful because once it gets charged, it's Whirling Duel with flying.
Yep.
So
and it also buffs Soulfire Drake and et cetera, et cetera.
So this version of Rakano, maybe not this specific build, but versions of Rakano with Duo, Commando, and Drake have been very popular the past few weeks. I know it was at the top of the
Well, they
aReNGee
have
Eternal
been
tier list
since Commando came out. Like I remember day 2, I was or like day 1, I was playing Unseen Commando and Soulfire Drake.
Yeah, so
and people figure that out really fast.
Yeah, this is more just going a little bit bigger and going more high impact card and totally abandoning Oni Ronin, which we've seen some other Rakano decks do in the past as well. I know Sardek made a splash with a version of this kind of Rakano a few weeks ago in the ETS.
Yeah, and I think dropping Oni Ronin right now when people are picking up on more devastating setbacks is a reasonable call as well. But Suno stuck on power. Oh no. Lord Foss also not curving out amazingly, but still going to be able to play out champion, commando, and that's a lot more impactful than maybe one Desert Marshal.
Well, one Desert Marshal is pretty impactful against a Champion of Glory, although
True.
that protect might not make it quite as apt. No, still stuck on power. Once he finds the third, though, 3 Night Chancellor Seraphs ain't a bad plot to.
4th power off the top for Lord Foss is really just the perfect draw there.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for Suno to deal with. 2 protects now because Commando is down. These Seraphs can't block Champion of Glory, and it's a threat that's dealing 4 damage but dodges Vanquish. Whew. Tough spot to be in.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the matchup is good for Lord Foss, but this is just a really, really unfortunate draw for Suno.
Yeah, not only are you stuck on 2 power, you don't even have all your factions yet. You drew 2 Mystic Ascendants in a row, which is the opposite of what you would ever want to see in this matchup. It's one of your worst cards.
Yeah, Tony G's version had Harsh Rule in the sideboard, but Suno, because he's got the 3rd faction, does not. So he just doesn't really have a way to get back into the game once he gets this far behind. He's really relying on keeping up at least a little bit in tempo.
Yeah, and it's a reasonable line to take because you have more cheap removal. Like straight Combray doesn't have that. You just have Vanquish. Of course, you can fall behind. Where this deck has options like Annihilate, Varus Choice, play. Notably, no Banish. Pretty strong here. But post board, you've got Combray Healer to try and gum up the ground. Extra Varus Choices and Annihilates could come in. But in the meantime, you are not having fun these first 2 games.
No, not at all. And it looks like it's going to be a quick 2 games here for Lord Foss.
Yeah, the thing is, even if Suno drew power and kind of curved out this game, I don't think it would have made a difference. Like, Your
Yeah,
Seraphs
there's that
couldn't block
Vanquish there.
anything. Your Titan dies to the Vanquish in Fozz's hand. So you could point at this game and say, oh, he was stuck on power. He didn't have a chance. But even if he curved out, I don't think he did.
Yeah, like we talked about, this matchup is just so good for the Rakano deck. The more I look at it, like they have every answer they have is good against uh the Combray deck. And all of their threats are good because they're threats, and they're all pretty difficult to deal with for Combray. And really, hold on. Does he have? He does. Okay, let's talk about the sideboards because
Yeah, this sideboard is crazy.
holy moly, this sideboard is
Yeah.
crazy. What is going on here? Let's do really
Talk about
quickly.
threats.
Yeah, let's do really quickly Dark Combray since we went over that already. He's got the sabotages, the annihilates, the extra Vera choices, and then for aggro, which we didn't talk about before, he's got the Combray healers. This is not the matchup for the Reality Wardens and the Vodacons and stuff like that,
Eh,
unless I mean maybe Reality Warden over like Mystic Ascendant or something like that. But
yeah,
it's definitely
and
not.
I like it more than Iron Thorn. Still,
Yeah, yeah.
just big.
But I think mostly what we're looking at is Vera's choice and the annihilates and potentially some amount of Combray healers. Um, but man, from Fozz's side, I'll let you take over.
Yeah, I think the annihilates are big. I don't want to undersell those. Those are nice in this matchup. But yeah, Lord Fozz's sideboard. You talked about how he's happy with his removal. No removal in the sideboard. This is all about changing threats. Stone Scarmar, I guess you can call removal, but it's also a threat. Yeah, Cabral Bailiff, Ijin Imperial Armor, Groundbreaker, Flamesoaker. These are just threats on threats on threats. Don't love Flamestoker in this matchup. Don't love Groundbreaker. Ijin, I have seen come in against Combray before. These board stally decks. Ijin is a way to be a threat that can wear weapons, but mostly is kind of a oath book on steroids when you're not facing down harsh rule decks because you've got to answer Ijin, but she naturally dodges Vanquish, so she requires to be silenced essentially or slain. And if not, every turn, 4 power, give a unit +4/+4. It's pretty scary stuff.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, Ijin is historically pretty good against Combray. That was one of the answers that Rakano players came up specifically. Unearthly, I think, was Unearthly came up with most of the Rakano innovations. But anyways, uh, actually, it may have been a oh god, previous caster, Dawn. Oh shoot. Well, anyways, not important right now. But Ijin Imperial Armor, I like a lot more when the curve is kind of low, and
Yeah.
when there's Soulfire Drakes and Crimson Fire Moths, I think it loses a lot of value.
Yeah, it'll
So
be
I'm not
interesting
sure
to
about it.
see. I'm not exactly sure what Lord Fozz's exact sideboard plan is here as we look at game number 3. All these cards that are in his hand were in his main deck, so no knowledge gained so far. But we see Suno draw Mystic Ascendant, so he may have shaved down the number, but he's still keeping some of those because you can turn into a mid-range versus mid-range bout, but you do want some sort of edge once you get to the point where you're in a board stall.
Yes, I've been reminded True Dawn was actually one of the OG Ejin players. He was playing that before everybody, but he was doing it in a deck with like all kinds of crazy stuff.
Whirling Duo off the top for Lord Foz. That's going to get in there and neatly and nicely dodges the Annihilate in Suno. Progress, not a bad draw though. Gets another Justice source for perhaps deploying this Reality Warden. But again, it just feels like this Rakano draw, no matter what they draw, it lines up well against what Dark Combray is doing here, right? He's got the Vanquish ready to go for the next threat.
Yeah, but this is a much slower draw for Lord Foz, and I could definitely see Sunu taking this one potentially if he gets down this Reality Warden, gets down Seraph, kills something next turn, and then is able to play Mystic Ascendant with a power after that. Could definitely start swinging the board back in his favor.
A little surprised to see Reality Warden over Seraph hold up Annihilate there, but I think both lines make sense. And hey, yeah, there's a Sandstorm Titan. We'll see that again over the Seraph option. Just get the big thing down. Valkyrie Enforcer, they'll silence it so that the Flyers remain in flight. And Suno's down to 12.
Ooh, whoa. Okay, so
Okay.
Sabotage coming in is really weird to me. I don't think there's a lot of good. I mean, I guess it just hits protects and things like that.
Yeah.
But
4
I
protect,
still don't
obliterate,
love it.
and deep forge plate. That's 6 spells that cost 5
Sure.
sabotage hits. That's pretty big.
But there's a lot more whiffs than there are hits.
Mm.
Is my problem. But I guess it is just very cheap interaction. And
Yeah.
when you're struggling to interact, I think it's a reasonable choice. And that's pretty big here. If it had taken the deforged plate, obviously it would have been better. But that's what protect is for.
Yeah, but that does, getting that protect out is great because Annihilate can hit whatever, well, unless Whirling Duo, which is a possibility here, right? Whirling
Yeah,
Duo
very
with a
high
Deep Forge Plate
possibility.
can swing into Sandstorm Titan, but instead, no power is drawn. Deep Forge Plate can't even be cast, but aReNGee can, and aReNGee can start being activated the next turn if Lord Foss keeps whiffing on power.
Yeah, and though Annihilate can take out any of these flyers, can't take out aReNGee, can't take out Whirling Duo. Eventually, there will be a plate or a mithril armor put on a Whirling Duo, and it'll just go to town.
Yeah, although I think if we see Suroff come out here, we could see Ascendant come out here just because it's a more expensive card. You wanted to get it out of your hand. You're sort of in a spot where if they have Vanquish, you're not winning anyways. So.
Yeah, if they had Vanquish, they would have cast it up by now, or you were just dead anyway.
All right, so
well,
that's a power. It's not a fire source, so Soulfire Drake not available here.
I like activating aReNGee over Deep Forge Plate. I don't like Deep Forge Plate extends way more onto the board, but alas. Now either way was 2-turn lethal, so it doesn't really matter too much.
Yeah, I can agree with you that I don't see them. I guess the merit of playing plate is to play around them drawing another sabotage or something, but it's marginal. And 3-0 for Lord Foss there in a convincing beatdown.
Yeah, it takes down 2 Combray decks in a row. And not even Suno not even taking a game off of this big Ricano deck. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one, even if it doesn't take the #1 spot here this week. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of it or similar decks on ladder in the coming week.
Yeah, that was an impressive showing for sure. We'll see if it can repeat that in the finals. In the meantime, we're going to get, I imagine the other side of the bracket's still going. So we're going to duck in on that in just a moment as Kang Breath and Hulkbuster are going at it. And Kang Breath, we have not seen yet today, but he's been undefeated. He has not lost yet with Charge Rod. Charge Rod seems to have a habit of going undefeated through the Swift. We're going to duck in, get that set up, and see. Getting word that Kang Breath is currently up 2-1. I'm going to jump in from Hulkbuster's perspective for this next. Not have a hand cam set up for this, but we'll still get whatever action we can. And okay, Kang Breath is at 34 health. Hulkbuster, though, has a silent Sheltering Rider, 2
got a lot of
books,
weapons,
and a Protect.
Yep.
Now, Protect is
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Protect doesn't magically make Sheltering Rider a 5/5 again.
Not when it's silenced, no.
And he's getting beat down. He's losing this race. So he's got the option of going Hammer of Might, stay defensive, wait until you can hold up Protect to plate up the Sheltering Rider. I haven't seen how this game's played out, but Kang Breath has a hand of 4 cards still, so it seems a little risky to try and plate up here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in Kang Breath's hand, but this is a dire position from Hulkbuster, but things can turn around really fast with all these weapons and 2 Oath Books. But things can turn around probably even faster for Kang Breath playing a Charge Rod. That's the point of Charge Rod. Once you just get one Divining Rod out, you can end the game very quickly, potentially.
Yeah, and it looks like that might not even be necessary here. I mean, as 14-34.
Okay, I like playing Protect, but I would have liked to have waited till the end of Kang Breath's turn.
Hulkbuster must have really stumbled this game is what happened. Sheltering Rider's been the only unit played, nothing in the void other than that Protect. Kang Breath has nothing in the void, so it's really just been these early plays kind of getting work done. Yeah, the preemptive Protect's fine, though. You got to play it at some point with this deep. Yeah, while Kang Breath's base. Here we go. Counter clock underway.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Huh?
Oh no.
Okay,
Well,
so that'll get rid
losing
of the
endurance
endurance.
is pretty bad.
Kang Breath, man, these Desert Marshals, they've been making their
Wait.
presence felt in this tournament today. Turns out that card's still pretty bust.
Oh, and that's lethal, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that means Kang Breath
Kang Breath
takes it
takes
3-1.
Yeah. Wow. So our finals are going to be two decks with kind of similar strategies. Just play at very different times, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So there we go. Kang Breath takes that 3-1. Lord Foss versus Kang Breath is our finals matchup. Lord Foss facing Desert Marshal 3 straight rounds in the top 8. Let's see if he can
Yeah.
complete the sweep, or will Kang Breath get the full undefeated run, going for 10-0 in this tournament? We'll find out after this short break.